Hello there everyone, I hope you're staying safe and well with your families during this lockdown period. Today, hopefully I can relieve a lot of frustration that people seem to get during their youth intakes on Football Manager. Yes, in this video, hopefully I'm going to increase your chances of getting that 5-star golden generation player that we all wish to see during our youth intake. Of course, there's been a lot of changes with the youth intake in the last couple of years. It's not as easy to sort of save scum what people used to do to make sure they get the best players now. It's sort of integrated months before you eventually get to your youth intake that you're going to get a good one or not. So it's a lot harder to do that. So hopefully today, I can increase your chances with just 4 factors that you need to consider doing in the game yourself. And with that, hopefully you can produce a player just like this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Salvatore Marini, a player that came through my Youth to Gold series through the youth intake about 4 seasons ago now. If we go on to him, about 4 seasons ago, so he has grown lovely. He came through as a 14-year-old. He's now 18 and developing what I consider to be one of the best strikers in the world if he carries on course to what he is. He's at 142 current ability. For an 18-year-old, I don't need to tell you that is very good. And it was on this exact Youth to Gold series that I was finding myself every youth intake day wondering what I was doing wrong, wondering why I never got any players above 4 stars. I don't even think I managed to get a 4-star player. So I made a lot of mistakes. And I went and considered a lot of different things. And I think I've come up with a formula which worked. Because this man then came through the next year on my youth intake. So it seems to have done something. But of course, it's all down to luck. The years after that, I haven't necessarily got anything as good as Salvatore Marini. A couple of good players here and there. No one to his standard. This is down to luck, but hopefully with these factors, I can increase your chances of getting a Salvatore Marini. Let's start off with the first factor. And so the first thing I want you to look at is your finances. If you go over to the finance section, you will have adjust budgets and underneath make board request. On this section, you have a drop-down menu, and if you have a look at facilities, you have improved training and youth facilities. This, you do not need to consider. Youth facilities is basically the training facilities that the players who are already at your club are training with. So don't think that this has anything to do with bringing in a youth recruitment and bringing in the best player that you possibly can in your youth recruitment. This is sort of after making sure that player reaches his potential. So we won't go into that too much. What I want you to look at is on finance. Now on mine it only says decrease junior coaching budget because I have the highest junior coaching budget, hence why I've managed to get a decent player through my youth intake. However, on yours, it may say increase junior coaching budget. Now, this may be common sense. Believe me, we'll get round to ones which you probably have never considered before in the past. This is sort of the mundane one. So this one, as well as on network, you have on mine, it says cut back youth recruitment. In yours, you can improve your youth recruitment. So networking is sort of like the reach that the head of youth development will look to bring in these players. So let me just quickly describe why these two are important and why common sense prevails that doing both will increase your chances. The youth recruitment, the one that I'm highlighting right now, increases the area in which your head of youth development will look to bring in a player instead of staying in your local area. So you might not necessarily have very good players in your local area every youth intake. If you increase that, you increase the likelihood of bringing someone else from a different area who is much better to your club. That alongside the junior coaching budget, if you increase the junior coaching budget, that sort of basically is the training for under 14s at the club, which you can't ever see. So if you imagine every big side has like an under 9s, an under 10s, under 12s, etc., etc., that increases the budget for their coaching, which suggests that if you have someone who could be very good, if given good training facilities and coaching, if you increase your junior coaching budget, you will increase the chances of that man being very good when he's older. That player being very good when he's older. He's not a man yet. He's under 14. So like I say, common sense suggests that putting both of these two together will create the best amalgamation for bringing in a youth prospect who has good potential. However, there are plenty more things to consider. Now, I have just had my head of youth development retire, so it's the perfect opportunity for me to search for a new one. So I've gone ahead here and selected staff role, head of youth development. I've picked the attributes, if you can see here on coach roles down to head of youth development. That highlights these here. We'll leave it at 15 and it produces this list of all the included first team realistic appointments for head of youth development. If we click on this top man here, he has 20 player potential. That's good. Working with youngsters, 16. It has player ability of 18. Now, I don't necessarily consider this to be a priority. There are 3 other factors on this page staring at you in the face that I consider to be more important than probably player ability and maybe at the same amount as player potential. Now, the first one is personality. This man has a resolute personality, which is a good personality. Why personality is a good factor to consider is because the players that they bring in the game tends to sort of match up personalities in this role, hence mentoring groups as well. You can change personalities. If your head of youth development has a good personality, it increases the chances of bringing in a good personality player. If your head of youth development is a model citizen, you increase the chances of bringing in a model citizen player, which is by far the best personality on the game. Other things to look at is the world knowledge. Now, this man only has world knowledge in Norway and Russia because he is part Norwegian and Russian. However, Norway and Russia occasionally bring on good youth recruitment players. Not every time though. We want to see the world-class players. You want your head of youth development to have good world knowledge of the countries who are more likely to produce the best youngsters. So I don't need to tell you who they are. The likes of the big South Americans and the big European countries are what you need to look for. The third factor you need to look at this page though is reputation. And as you can see here, Igor Ace, I don't know. That his reputation is just 1.5 star, a national reputation. That's not necessarily very good. What we actually need to consider is these factors. So, if you go to edit search, staring at you in the face is world reputation. It is literally there for you to select. Now, head of youth development isn't exactly a very important role, so if you go to superb, you're not going to find anyone. However, if you go slightly down, fairly good. So we have a look at these two players then. Yannick Menu, we'll have a look at him first. Good player potential, good working with youngsters. Now let's look at the other factors that I mentioned before. He does have very good working knowledge. He has countries which I consider produce really good regens with France, Belgium, Ivory Coast and Senegal. And don't go sleeping on those African countries. You can find some really cheap gems there. But back to what we're talking about in this video. Personality of resolute. That's a good one. So ticks all around there. Reputation. He has a national reputation of 3 stars. So better than the last. A fairly good reputation. We're happy with that. Anywhere in France, he is well known as a good head of youth development. The other man then, Vincenzo. He is Italian as well, so he has good knowledge of France and Italy. Fairly determined personality. I think that's quite harsh. He has 16 determination, and he has continental reputation, so that's even higher than the national one. This would be the guy to go for. He has great working with youngsters of 18, player potential of 19, absolutely outstanding, and he also could be a badass coach too. So when he's coaching the youngsters, he's going to be really good. But this man would be your go-to man because he has that continental reputation, which I have now been prioritizing as the best thing that I look for. So this would be the guy I'd snap up. Now, I did say about the reputation, and there's sort of like a thing that I want you to think about, because reputation of your club, league, and country is also rather important. If you think about it in terms of players themselves, say Paul Pogba is going to leave Manchester United, which happens quite often in this game. He doesn't necessarily go to the lower leagues of, I don't know, Russia, in your saves. Maybe he does, I don't know. But he doesn't really tend to. He's more likely to go to a worldwide reputation club. like what we have here. So I have built up the reputation of Strasbourg to be a worldwide reputation. The league has increased in reputation as well. So consider that the same when you're thinking of your youth intake. You can't necessarily scout these players or attract them to your club yourself. So you need to do everything in your power to make your club attractable to them. And that is why the reputation comes involved. Increasing the reputation of your club is actually a lot more important when it comes to youth recruitment. And I know it comes down to whether you're successful and everything like that is very difficult to get a worldwide reputation, especially I think the Strasbourg one started off about 2.5 to 3 stars to increase it to 5 stars. That does come with success and that will take some time. However, I've got to tell you all these things because these are the things which do increase your chances of getting better youth recruitment players in your youth intakes. So a consideration of the reputation of your club, league and country, how good your head of youth development is, the personality and the reputation of him, and of course the finance section of these factors. There is one last thing I need you to consider, and that is your scouting. If you have good scouting knowledge, you're far more likely to bring in a player from a different country. Why is that important? Well, as you can see here on the world section, we have a 35% widespread. That necessarily doesn't suggest very good. However, this has taken me years of increasing my scouting facilities and increasing the number of scouts to scour the globe to all of these countries, and I haven't even done a very good job of that. I've been very limited with the scouts that I've managed to do, but I've managed to tick off all the countries that I know have really good regens, the likes of Brazil, the likes of even like Mexico, the big countries in Europe, all the ones that I know produce really good regens. I've got good scouting knowledge in, and then I've sort of dabbled in countries which also have good has good chances of bringing in players like the Scandinavian countries as well. And that's why players like this man has come through my youth recruitment. Now, not saying that this guy is very good at all, because he isn't, but it is an example of a player coming in who has a different nationality. This man is Algerian. He came through my youth intake on a couple of, probably the same year as Salvatore Marini. I need to check that. But he did come through the youth intake, and that is all down to scouting knowledge. The wider spread of your scouting knowledge increases the chances of bringing in someone from a different country. And if you're one of the countries who doesn't necessarily bring in the best youth intake prospects, say, let's put an example of Bosnia, who occasionally have world-class players come through. However, save by save, maybe have once-in-a-generation players. That might not necessarily be you. Increase your chances of bringing through someone good. Scout the globe, and maybe you could potentially get someone like from France, for example, who will have a better potential of being a better player. So there we have it then, guys. That is my 4 factors that I want you to consider to help you increase your chances of bringing in the best players through your youth intake. I hope it helps. I hope you manage to implement these factors and then eventually DM me, I don't know, on Twitter, tag me on Twitter at Omega_Luke with the best regens that you produce through your youth intakes, thanks to putting these into place. I would love to see some of the players that you produce. But please, if you can and it does help, or you just like the video, smash that like button. That would be amazing. It really does help the channel grow and for more people to see these things, and it increases our chances of doing more stuff just like this, because it gives us the encouragement and motivation to do so. But please also consider smashing the subscribe button. We got plenty more coming your way that you do not want to miss. And if you do enjoy Let's Play Action, the link to my channel is down in the description, or a link at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Please stay safe and enjoy the lockdown period as much as you possibly can. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.